Wife's affair makes headlines. My 50-year-old wife took advantage of her position to harass a young male subordinate for 5 years. I finally got ready to expose her when I delivered food to her company and checked her phone. Every little thing I did made her like a frightened bird. When she took a male subordinate and went to a hotel under the pretext of a business trip to open a room, I rushed into her hotel room with the police. The news of a female boss being a mistress to a 20-year-old young subordinate completely ruined her career. On the contrary, I took over all her clients and was promoted step by step. She could have been the closest person to me. It was she who took the wrong path. How could I be polite? It's almost the 20th anniversary of my marriage to my wife. Different from me who am excited. My wife looks worried. Under my questioning, she said apologetically, "I'm sorry. The company suddenly notified me, but I need to go on a business trip for half a month in a few days. I'm afraid I can't accompany you on this anniversary." Although I was a little disappointed, I still showed understanding. After all, at our age, career comes first. Not to mention this is not the first time my wife has stood me up. Since 3 years ago, I have noticed that my wife's attitude towards me has become colder and colder. Compared to a husband, I am more like a strange tenant living with her. I tried to repair the relationship between the two of us, but after I messed it up again, my wife said tiredly, "We have been married for 17 years, plus being in love. We have been together for 22 years. Compared to love, I think family affection may be more suitable for us now. We have long lost our initial passion. Plainness is life." My wife's words were like a heavy blow to the back of my head. I didn't know what to say. I smiled awkwardly and let this matter pass. I once told this matter to my friend as a joke, but when my friend heard this, his expression became serious. Among us few people back then, your relationship with Lillian was the best. When other young couples were quarreling and breaking up, you two were discussing getting married after graduation. Not to mention, you really have to pay more attention now. Lillian is now successful in her career and takes good care of herself. What if? My friend didn't finish the rest of the words, but we both understood. I subconsciously refuted. Impossible. Don't you see how old we are now? And I trust her. Although I said so, I was very unsure in my heart. As far as I know, Lillian's department has recently recruited a batch of new employees. Over the years, there have been no cases where young girls have come to me to take shortcuts for promotion. I have also been unable to resist temptation, but in the end I still stuck to my bottom line. Although I am confident in our relationship for so many years, I can't help but worry. Late at night, looking at Lillian sleeping soundly beside me, I carefully picked up her phone on the table. For the first time, I entered our wedding anniversary. It failed. My expression suddenly became gloomy. In the past, we two agreed to set all passwords as our wedding anniversary. If someone changes the password, it means they have a secret from the other. I never took this matter to heart before and let Lillian check my phone. After being married for so many years, I have never checked her phone. It seems that at some point, she has already changed her heart. After getting this realization, my heart suddenly fell to the bottom. To prevent Lillian from noticing something abnormal, I carefully put the phone back. The next morning at breakfast, I pretended that my phone couldn't be turned on and said anxiously, "Wife, my phone seems to be broken. Give me your phone. I have a very important call to make now." Lillian was originally playing with her phone with a smile on her face. After hearing my words, she panicked and put her phone upside down on the table. I took in all her reactions. It seemed that she really had something to hide from me. Lillian didn't give me her phone after all, but her attitude alerted me. At noon, under the pretext of delivering food to her, I arrived downstairs at her company early. My reputation in the industry is not small. The security guard quickly let me in, but when Lillian's secretary saw me, a trace of panic flashed across her face. After taking the lunchbox I brought, she led me to the lounge. I realized something was wrong and walked towards Lillian's office. During this period, Her secretary kept persuading me and said, "Lillian is in a meeting with someone to discuss cooperation. Please follow me to the lounge and wait first." Her persuasion didn't stop me. I broke into Lillian's office. My intuition told me that there would be the answer I wanted here. After I pushed open the door, I found only Lillian in the room looking at us calmly. I noticed an abnormal flush on Lillian's face and a perfume smell that didn't belong to her. There was someone else in this room. But if I insisted on searching her office now, it would be like. I casually put the lunchbox on the table and said, "Your secretary is not as professional as the previous one. I said I wanted to come and undeliver food to you. She insisted that you were in a meeting and I couldn't come in, but there is clearly no one else in the room. If people didn't know, they would think you were doing something shameful." Hearing this, everyone present changed their expressions. Especially Lillian. She looked at me in surprise and tried to see from my face whether I already knew the fact that she was cheating. She is currently in a critical period for promotion. The other two competitors are eyeing her. If at this time Suddenly, there was an abnormal noise from under the desk. I looked suspiciously and saw that Lillian seemed to harvest a matchkey again. "The medicine I often take is gone. Can you go and buy me a box?" In Lillian's office, there are various first aid medicines all year round. Now that she said the medicine is gone, it is obviously trying to trick me out. I looked at Lillian with an ambiguous expression. She avoided my gaze guiltily. I pretended to be anxious and said, "Okay, I'll go downstairs and buy medicine for you now. Wait for me." After I went out, I hid in a corner and observed carefully. Sure enough, just 1 minute after I came out, a young and handsome man followed the secretary and came out. Although I was already prepared in my heart, at this moment my heart still. Lillian really cheated. After noting down the man's appearance, I went downstairs to buy medicine. When I returned to the office again, Lillian had already lost her previous nervousness. After she skillfully took the medicine, she smiled and said, "I still have an online meeting later. I can't accompany you. By the way, if you want to deliver food to me next time, you can make an appointment with my secretary in advance. Otherwise, it's quite troublesome to cause misunderstandings like today." Misunderstanding? I think it's delaying your tryst with your male subordinate. I lowered my head and responded faintly. Then I turned and left. How ironic. Clearly I am her husband. But I still have to make an appointment with the secretary. I didn't leave the company in a hurry. I stayed under the pretext of inspecting the company for Lillian. But after I walked around the workstations for a long time, I still didn't see the young man who had just come out of the office. Finally, I saw a man hurriedly carrying an exquisite lunchbox and walking into the company. I pretended to accidentally bump into him. The lunchbox in his hand instantly rolled to the ground. The man looked up angrily, but panicked when he saw me. The man hurriedly picked up the lunchbox and wanted to walk into the company. I reached out and said apologetically, "Sorry. I was looking at my phone just now and didn't notice. Can you leave me your contact information? I'll treat you to lunch as compensation." The man hurriedly waved his hand and said it was unnecessary. At this time, the secretary who heard the noise hurried over. After seeing that it was the commotion caused by the two of us, the expression on her face was indescribable. After she rescued the man from me, she said awkwardly, "This is a new employee in our company. He is just clumsy." After hearing this, the man obviously paused, but still left quickly. I took back my gaze and said somewhat dissatisfied, "Secretarial you don't even know what happened? If your professional quality is so lacking, I can report it to Lillian." Secretarial you was stunned for a moment but didn't refute. I waved my hand and said casually, "I accidentally bumped into him just now. I originally wanted to invite him to lunch, but he firmly refused." "What's his name?" "Since he doesn't accept my compensation, it's not too much for me to ask his name, right?" Secretarial you said respectfully, "His name is Caleb. He just joined the company not long ago." Secretary you paused and continued, "He is now under the leadership of Manager Lynn." I seemed to be interested and continued, "No wonder I think he. Do you know when his birthday is?" Secretarial, you seem surprised by my sudden change of topic. It should be June 15th. After getting the most important information, I left satisfied. I repeated my old trick and secretly checked Lillian's phone again. Sure enough, when I entered Caleb's birthday this time, the phone was successfully unlocked. Lillian's cheating partner was indeed Caleb. After opening her social software, I found that it seemed that today's abnormal behavior of mine still alarmed her. But it doesn't matter. I checked Lillian's phone according to the inspection tips I found online today. Sure enough, on an app for booking hotels, something was revealed. This month, she had placed 5 orders at a certain hotel in this city, and the occupancy information filled in was for 2 people. I secretly noted down that hotel and carefully put the phone back. Looking at Lillian's sleeping face, my mood suddenly became very complicated. When I firmly believed that our relationship was unbreakable, she had secretly changed her heart. I called the hotel staff. I am Lillian's husband. She left something in the company. Can you help me check the room number so I can send it over? After getting the room information, I came to the door of a remote lingerie store in the city. After several days of investigation, I found that before Lillian booked a hotel every time, the place she most often came to was this store. Sure enough, through the glass, I saw 2 familiar figures. At this time, Lillian was leaning sweetly on Caleb's shoulder. The 2 were talking and choosing lingerie. Although Lillian has taken good care of herself over the years, when she stood there, one could still see the traces of time. Such a strange combination, but the surrounding clerks seemed unfazed. I pretended to be curious and asked a clerk in a low voice, "Why do the 2 people over there look so different in age, but still come here together?" The clerk gave me a strange look and lowered her voice and said, "Are you stupid? Who would think they are mother and son when they come here?" Hearing this, I was incredulous and said, "So are they husband and wife?" The clerk curled her lips disdainfully and said, "How is that possible? This guy is a gigolo. He wants to climb up, so he got involved with an older woman. It's pitiful for his wife. She is quite beautiful." After finishing speaking, the clerk also reminded me to keep it a secret for her. Revealing customers' privacy is a big taboo in their industry. If it gets out, then her job. For the first time, I looked at Caleb with scrutiny. He is only a few years out of college. I didn't expect him to be so. Perhaps I don't have to fight alone anymore. I can find an ally. After the 2 of them picked out several pieces of lingerie, they quickly left the store. I followed them from a distance and came to the mall. After they casually bought some food, they went straight to the first floor. There are condoms for sale there. On Caleb's face, I saw the shyness that used to belong to me. When Lillian and I just got married and we didn't have children yet, she originally wanted to take birth control pills, but I firmly refused. Taking birth control pills is too harmful to the body. I didn't want her to be in danger. So I carefully went to the mall to buy condoms. Looking at the people coming and going around, my face flushed red, afraid of being seen. But at that time, Lillian deliberately came close to me, undeliberately scared me. Now, she is still her, but there is a different person beside her. Compared to me back then, Caleb is also less green. Or maybe they have come here many times before and he is already familiar with it. Looking at the backs of the 2 kissing, I silently clicked on the video recording. I didn't dare to make a big fuss for fear of attracting the attention of Lillian and the others. I could only follow quietly. Fortunately, the person who snatched my phone was a thin woman. I caught up with her as soon as I exited the mall. I angrily snatched the phone and was surprised to find that she had deleted all my photos. I asked hesitantly, "Are you Caleb's wife?" Chloe is Caleb's new wife. The 2 are childhood sweethearts. After many years of long-distance relationship, they finally got married. Looking at her sweet expression, I hesitated. What Chloe described was seriously inconsistent with the results of my investigation. I said concisely, "Do you know that your husband is cheating on my wife?" Chloe put away her smile. After a long time, she nodded slowly. Seeing that she was about to gesture again, I quickly handed over a piece of paper and a pen. "Chloe is congenitally disabled and is mute." "I know. I am very sorry about this. I have advised him more than once. But he said this is for our future. Hearing this, I sneered. Is Caleb's so-called effort just working hard on his female boss's bed? Hearing the sarcasm in my tone, Chloe's face turned pale. But regarding this, I sensed something unusual. So you clearly know that this matter will cause harm to another family, but you still chose to tolerate it. Chloe didn't deny it. Her head almost drooped to the table. It can be seen that she still has a conscience and knows that this matter is not glorious. After thinking about it, I handed her some things I had investigated. This is about Caleb. I think you should be interested. Caleb is not as good as Chloe described. On the contrary, he only married Chloe after weighing the pros and cons. Although the two are childhood sweethearts living in the same community, they know very little about each other. Chloe went to a special school for the disabled, while Caleb went to a regular high school. Caleb often skipped classes by climbing over the wall and bullied junior students in high school. He basically did all the evils that teenagers could think of. Because of an accident, he accidentally pushed a classmate down the stairs. Because of this, he was given a major demerit and was expelled from school. This incident made a big fuss. Caleb's family spent a lot of money to settle it. The neighbors around all know Caleb's character and no one is willing to marry their daughter to Caleb's family, except for Chloe. Her parents work in other places all year round. She doesn't know these rumors. So Caleb pretended to be deeply in love with her and proposed to her. As for his perfect resume now, it is also falsified by spending money. He didn't even get a high school diploma. But his resume says he is a top student graduated from a 985 university. After learning the truth, Chloe burst into tears. She quickly wrote on the paper, "How can I confirm that what you said is not false? As your identity, it is not too difficult to produce a false report." I pursed my lips and looked at the stubborn Chloe in front of me, incomprehensibly. I don't understand what's on the minds of these little girls nowadays. Clearly there is solid evidence. But she still wants to seek the last glimmer of hope. But soon I understood her. If someone had told me back then that Lillian would cheat in the future, I probably wouldn't believe it either. You are Caleb's wife. Don't you have an answer in your heart as to whether what I said is true or false? Putting aside everything else, even if what I said is false, at least Caleb doesn't love you as much as you think. If he loves you, he won't cheat. And he won't brainwash you in the name of being good for you. I briefly reached a consensus with Chloe. She will no longer hinder my investigation of Lillian and Caleb's affair. And she also provided me with some things I didn't know before. It turns out that Caleb is not the first object of Lillian's affair. Over the years, Lillian has been taking advantage of her position to constantly sexually harass male subordinates. It can't be considered sexual harassment. It's just a mutual need. If people below want to be promoted, they naturally need to pass Lillian's test. I lowered my eyes thoughtfully. No wonder Lillian's attitude towards me has become colder and colder over the years. Now that I am getting older, even though in the eyes of outsiders I am a refined president, but in Lillian's eyes, I am an old man who can't even do housework well and is very useless. Compared to me, naturally a male subordinate full of youthful vigor is more attractive, I said inferently. After I collect enough evidence, I will announce their ugly deeds to everyone. As for you, I think you need to think carefully about your marriage. Is Caleb really the right person as you think? Chloe didn't answer me but turned and left. That he was in a hurry to take me to the police station to report the case. Naturally, I didn't miss the hint of smugness that flashed in his eyes. If what I said is true, it means that Lillian not only deceived the company, but also deceived me. At this critical stage of promotion, this is not a good sign. No one would be willing to hire a person full of lies at a high salary. After arriving at the police station, I skillfully recited Lillian's personal information. I said anxiously, "My wife has been missing for 5 days. I'm very worried about her. Now is the off-season for tourism. There are not too many people staying in hotels. In the almost empty hotel, everyone's eyes were on me. Just now." Under my description, The police found out that Lillian is staying in a hotel in this city. Not only that, a young male employee from the same company is also staying with her. For a moment, everyone's eyes on me were filled with a bit of pity. Only manager's son became excited all of a sudden. Before everyone could react, he had already secretly turned on the video recording function of his phone, just waiting to record the scene of Lillian's affair. If he can spread this to the company's large group chat, then this promotion is definitely his, I said bitterly. Comrade police officer, the investigated result only shows that someone used my wife's ID card to stay in this hotel. As for whether it is her who is staying here in person, it cannot be determined yet. Without delay, let's go in and take a look quickly. After getting the room card sent by the lobby manager, our group rushed into the room. We broke in just in time. The two of them were half undressed and kissing passionately. After noticing someone breaking in, Lillian screamed and hid behind Caleb. After seeing me with a livid face, she was timid and never defended herself. Noticing that manager's son on the side had recorded everything, I left the room with disappointment on my face. The police officer came out awkwardly following me. After all, this is our private matter, and they can't interfere too much, I said a little dejectedly. Thank you, comrades police officers. You really saw a joke. After symbolically comforting me for a while, the police left. Manager's son quickly came up and said carefully, General Manager Gu, that woman Lillian is really ungrateful and has an affair. I have recorded everything on my phone now. If you want to take revenge on her, you can come to me for cooperation. Finally, it was Lillian who slowly stood in front of me. This seemed to be the first time I stared at her eyebrows and eyes so carefully. Different from the high-spirited her in my memory, there were more wrinkles at the corners of her eyes and her temperament became more calm. She pursed her lips and looked at me helplessly. Since she climbed to her current position, she has never shown such an expression again. She has always been in control of everything that happens and does not allow any unexpected things to happen. It seems that today's surprise attack has caused her a lot of trouble. The silent atmosphere spread around us. I said impatiently, when did it start? 5 years ago. I was a little surprised and raised my eyebrows. It was even earlier than I expected. If you don't love me, why can't you file for divorce? Do you think I will pester you endlessly? Lillian was silent. I can't leave you. But, at the same time, I found that only when I am by their side can I feel like a living person instead of an emotionals work machine. I filed for divorce from Lillian. Now she has no energy to find a lawyer. She is extremely busy because of company affairs. On the day she left the hotel, someone anonymously reported in the company's large group chat about her harassing male subordinates. Immediately after, manager's son directly sent the video to the supervisor's email. Lillian was suspended for investigation, but she hasn't been in the company for nothing all these years. There are people she knows in almost every department. After a lot of effort, she managed to stay in the company. The first thing she has to do is find out who made the anonymous report. While she is extremely busy, I present all the evidence at once. The lawyer patted his chest and assured me, with such a complete chain of evidence, I will definitely sue the other side to leave with nothing. So when Lillian wants to consult a lawyer again, it is already too late. The day before receiving the court notice, she took the initiative to find me. After only a week of not seeing each other, Lillian looked much more tired. Her originally meticulous hair has also become messy. It seems that in this week, she has been busy with company affairs and hasn't had a good rest. But all this has nothing to do with me anymore. I calmly took a sip of the coffee on the table. Sure enough, no matter what age I am, I will never like to drink this. My subconscious small movement seemed to amuse Lillian. She quickly put this matter. Is there really no room for turning around? If the news of my divorce spreads in the company, then everyone will. If it is true, then it will be difficult for me to be promoted again. You should know how much effort I have put in for today. 80% of her rest time is spent sitting in front of the computer perfecting plans or thinking about how to promote the next contract. In all these years, since she joined the company, she has never been late or left early. She has carefully completed every task arranged by the company. Not only that, she has also signed countless large orders for the company. Without exaggeration, she is the most suitable person for promotion. So what? Just because of your efforts in the company, can you erase your mistakes? Do you want to explain that your affair is false? Do you know how many people are waiting to see my joke every day? They either call me or send messages asking me every day if my wife has cheated on me and betrayed me. This is a very humiliating thing for a man. The words Lillian had prepared were all swallowed at this moment. She handed a contract to me. I can leave with nothing. The house, car, and money at home are all yours. I only have one request. You cannot attend the court tomorrow. The divorce has caused me enough losses. I can't lose this job anymore. Do you think I care about this little money now? Lillian, wait and accept the judgment of the law. And I am also looking forward to your miserable ending in the future. Yao Yao found me. The red mark on her face was extremely conspicuous on her fair skin. After noticing my gaze, she lowered her head in a panic. She hurriedly took out a piece of paper from her bag and quickly wrote on it. Can you please let Caleb go? I can assure you that he will definitely not disturb you and your wife again in the future. These days, it's very embarrassing. He doesn't have Lillian's strong background and can't stay in the company anymore. He originally wanted to find Lillian as his last straw, but I sent someone to stop him. As for Lillian, I will deal with her. I chuckled softly, as if laughing at Chloe's naivety. Do you think that since I won't let my wife go, I will let Caleb go? Chloe, I hope you can understand the truth. I cooperated with you before because we are both victims, so I want to join hands with you. But this doesn't mean you have the right to negotiate with me here. If I were you, I would leave this sea of bitterness early. Under my meaningful gaze, Chloe almost fled in a panic. On the day of the court session, I was accompanied by a newcomer who just entered the industry. Although the remuneration Lillian gave was not low, there were still not many people. No one would offend me for a person who is on the decline to help her. In court, Lillian tried to play the emotional card with me, but I mercilessly refuted them, all one by one. Ms. Lin, as you said, there are already 20 years between us. Why didn't you think of this relationship when you were having an affair? The person lying beside you is not your husband, but have you ever thought of this relationship? These words made Lillian's face instantly lose color. Judging from her reaction, it seems that Caleb came here secretly without telling her. Thinking of this, I deliberately said with a bit of malicious intent, Lillian, with our relationship of so many years, I believe you know that I am not the kind of person who is ruthless. But when I see him, my mood is not very good. When you are completely cut off from him, come to me again. After saying that, I left in a swagger. Behind me came the suppressed arguing voices of the two. Within 3 days, Lillian called me. On the other end of the phone, her voice was extremely excited. I have completely got rid of Caleb. When can you come to me? I don't want to stay in this dark and damp basement for a minute now. After getting Lillian's exact location, I casually sent it to the police. Because of intentional homicide, Lillian was arrested. I was rated as a top 10 good youth by the police. The pennant was specially hung in my office. Whenever someone enters the office and talks to me about cooperation, seeing the pennant, they will praise me casually and at the same time greatly increase their confidence in cooperating with me. Even the police have commended me. In terms of cooperation, I will definitely not treat them badly. No one will remember again that this pennant was obtained by stepping on my ex-wife. Before Lillian was sentenced, she strongly requested to see me. As soon as I entered the door, she couldn't suppress her anger and growled, "Did you plot against me?" The news that Lillian asked to meet me that day was deliberately leaked by me to Caleb. As for later when I said that if they separated, I would help Lillian make a comeback, that was also deliberately said by me for Caleb to hear. Caleb is selfish and mean. Naturally, he can't see that he is still in deep trouble while Lillian, the culprit, can get my help. After having conflicts, the two will have countless arguments. I just didn't expect that Lillian could be so ruthless and kill Caleb with her own hands. What happens in business can't be called plotting. I heard about Lillian's affair as early as a few years ago. The reason why I have been enduring it is that the business dealings between the two companies are very close. If there is no foolproof plan, I can't cut off the cooperation so easily. Moreover, Lillian's development in the company is much better than mine. By taking advantage of our husband-wife relationship, I can still get some cooperation from her. If I rashly expose this matter, it will not be good for either of us. So I can only wait for an opportunity. Later, accidentally, I saw on Lillian's desk that she deliberately left Caleb's personal file. The young man in the photo smiled brightly and arrogantly, just like me many years ago. At that time, I knew that my opportunity had come. Forgot to tell you. In fact, your little secretary is my person. That's why I can easily find evidence of her affair again and again. In the room, there was Lillian's desperate and helpless low growl. Looking at her embarrassed appearance, I smiled with satisfaction. All these years, I have been living under her shadow, which makes me unable to breathe. Obviously, my grades in school back then were much better than hers. But in the workplace, I am far inferior to her. For everyone who knows me, the first sentence after seeing me is always, "Are you Lillian's husband?" At this time, even though I was constantly cursing in my heart, I could only nod humbly on the surface. What I can't accept the most is that everyone defaults that I am inferior to Lillian. I have had enough of this kind of life. Fortunately, Lillian still lost to me. After leaving the police station, I stretched. After all the matters are resolved, I can finally relax and take a good rest. For people like us, only if you are cruel enough can you win in the end.